Why is the former chairman of the board, or basically the boss of Volkswagen, here in talks with Li Bin? So this is Herbert, who's obviously maybe at the headquarters of NIO in China, and they are talking, well, here on the camera, a little bit for social media. Herbert has always been quite active about that, but maybe they've been also talking, behind closed doors. And this is what this video is all about, my speculation about why they are meeting and what's going to happen. But first of all, let me thank you for tuning in again, and I hope you would subscribe to this channel if you haven't yet, and also make sure to hit this notification button so you will get a notification whenever I post a new video. I really appreciate that so many people are continuously tuning in to follow the trends in China, China tech, EV and NIO in particularly. Now, what is this meeting all about Herbert of former Volkswagen, I should say, not current one, and Li Bin of NIO? Well, I think it's not about Volkswagen so much, so we don't have to speculate about a potential cooperation or partnership between Volkswagen and NIO. I mean, the fact is that Herbert he was kind of fired by Volkswagen, right? And they might be not on good terms anymore. I don't know about that, but the fact is, I don't think he came because of VW in order to make an introduction to NIO and that sort of thing. I mean, there have been lots of speculations in the past, and there are certain connections, like the closeness between NIO and Volkswagen in Hefei, with the factory, but also with JAC as joint venture partners and that sort of things, and Volkswagen experimenting with battery swapping in the area, and so these sort of things are all there, and I wouldn't be surprised at some point if there might be some projects in the future. But I don't think that's the big story here. I think it's rather about a topic that I keep on stressing recently here on the channel, which is about the potential of battery swap stations and energy storage and grid balancing. Why? I think that's because of the new role of Herbert, who is now actually with a company that's called the Mobility House. So that's a company that wants to enhance the energy transition in Germany, I would say, but Europe in general. And this is about integrating renewables with the grid and the role of EV in this regard. So if you follow Herbert on LinkedIn or on TV interviews and such, you'll see how he stresses the opportunity that EV can bring to balancing the grid, but also the economic potential that's in there with the pricing of renewables and such, which I've pointed out here as well. And what this company is doing, well, I don't know too much in specific because I haven't monitored them. I just know what's broadly here on the website, but it's about bi-directional charging and how to kick off the infrastructure necessary for doing that. You need smart meters, integration of the grid protocols and all that. And I think that's why Herbert is meeting with Li Bin, in order to exchange views on that, because he must be in the known that battery swapping might play a large role in that. And I'm hoping that Li Bin is going to educate Herbert here in this regard, because I think one fundamental thing that all of these projects that I'm seeing in Europe or with other car manufacturers is not the case, but has been done by NIO, is the separation between the vehicle chassis and the battery. And that's not only in a technical sense, so meaning the battery is not glued to the chassis, but can be exchanged and taken out and easily repairable or replaceable, but mainly on the financial side. So the battery is not owned by the consumer if he opts to not own it. I mean, there's always the option, but generally, it's part of an ecosystem managed by NIO and its partners and the stakeholders and such. But I think that's mandatory in order to really make vehicle to grid a reality. Because just imagine you bought a vehicle and the most expensive part in that is the battery. let's put it at 10,000 euros, and you're already worrying about degradation of the battery, which oftentimes, by the way, is not a big problem. So batteries degrade in the beginning quite fast, but then usually they can carry the car, you know, hundreds of thousands of kilometers. I mean, yes, they lose some steam and capacity, but it's not terrible in most cases. But if you now add another application and use case scenario like vehicle to grid, in which the battery is being integrated into the grid, and you know there is load being placed on the battery and taken away again more frequently, maybe in micro steps, this may have an additional effect on the battery, and who knows what the cost implications of that are over a long term. I'm not sure if there's reliable data for that already. Now, for the case of NIO, that's entirely different, because NIO is owning the batteries and they're managing them. They're managing the health of the battery. They're getting all of the data of the battery, and they are making sure that the batteries are in a state that they are usable, that they benefit the consumers, but also that the consumer doesn't need to worry about degradation at all. And that's really the case in which you can, you know, really integrate batteries into the grid in a way that they can be used as they should be, because now it's in a larger ecosystem where it can even be recycled easily, where you know, the load and the degradation and such is not an issue. At least it's a manageable issue where the company is bundling all of the information and the data in real time, and where the company is basically helping the consumer to having this as a worry-free service, essentially. So that's what NIO is having here as an asset, as a IP, as a established system for years, which they can prove is working, and what, in my opinion, makes them a leader in vehicle-to-grid and grid balancing, battery swapping, energy storage applications of EV in this field. So I think they might talk to Herbert and the company, and he may go on and talk to other stakeholders in the automotive industry, and in a couple of months or years down the line, we will see that people start talking about this and say, look, the Chinese, what they have built yet again strategically over the years and in such a planned manner, why haven't we done that? And I mean, Herbert, he should be smart enough to understand this, and I hope Li Bin is smart enough to creating a deal out of that for shareholders, for NIO and so on, and making battery swapping a bit of a bigger thing for all of us, and for Herbert's new venture of shaping this energy transition in Europe and maybe beyond. So I think that's the real reason. Thanks for watching. See you in the next videos.